Bitcoin transactions and transaction fees. A Bitcoin wallet is the interface to the Bitcoin network of Bitcoin miners. Miners listen to, list, and relay to other miners requests to send Bitcoins. The list of requested transactions is ordered with transactions having the largest transaction fees in the front and transactions with less fees at the back. Those with zero fees are at the very back and are ordered chronologically with the recent ones listed behind the older ones. Miners use their list to make their ledger of requested transactions called a block. The block has a size of 1 million bytes. The amount of bytes that a transaction needs does not depend on the amount of the payment, but rather on the number of inputs and outputs it uses. Each input contains different amounts of bitcoins that have been at one time received and uses about 180 bytes. An input can be considered as a token or coin with a certain denomination. The average transaction uses about 250 to 500 bytes, allowing about 2,000 to 4,000 transactions per block. The blockchain contains all confirmed transactions. As an example, when Alice wants to send Bob 5 bitcoins and Alice optionally includes a transaction fee of 0.05 bitcoins, a miner who wants to include this requested transaction in his block will filter from the blockchain all the inputs that have been previously sent to Alice. He then removes all inputs that have been sent or spent already in previous confirmed transactions. He selects as many of those unspent inputs as are needed to add up to at least 5.05 bitcoins. He designates one output of 5 bitcoins to be transferred to Bob's wallet, another output of 0.05 bitcoins to go to his own wallet, and a third output for any change left over to go back to Alice. Each output uses about 40 bytes. Outputs of confirmed transactions become inputs to be sent or spent in subsequent transactions. Miners fill their 1 megabyte blocks with requested transactions and play a kind of lottery called solving the block by making calculations on the bytes in their block until they have a predefined value defined as the solution. The first miner to solve the block announces his solution, which is then checked by all other miners. If the solution is verified to be correct by a consensus of more than 50% of the miners, the block is accepted by all other miners and included as a confirmed block in the chain of blocks called the blockchain. While the solving of the block is very work intensive and totally random, the verifying of correctness of the solution is very simple and fast. The difficulty of solving the block is increased or decreased to ensure that there is a solution every 10 minutes. If many miners are trying to solve their blocks and a solution is reached in less than 10 minutes, then the difficulty to solve it is increased for the next block. Conversely, fewer miners will need more than 10 minutes to find a solution, so the difficulty is decreased for the next block. If more than one miner solves their block at the same time, then the miner with the fullest or biggest block is considered the winner. The winner collects the newly issued bitcoins created as well as all optional transaction fees that were defined for each transaction in his block. Transaction fees are incentives for miners to include requested transactions into their blocks. They are calculated by the Bitcoin wallets depending on how many inputs and outputs the miners have to process. Miners include transactions with the highest transaction fees first to increase their potential reward. At present, the reward of newly issued created Bitcoins for each block is much higher than the transaction fees in the block. In the future, as the amount of newly issued Bitcoins decreases, the adoption and use of Bitcoin transactions increases, then the reward from transaction fees will play a greater and greater role. In the year 2040, there will not be any more Bitcoins created and issued, and rewards will be 100% from transaction fees. It is in the miner's interest to have as full or big of a block with as many transactions as it can contain, because when more than one miner solves the puzzle at the same time, the one with the biggest block is declared the winner. It is in the miner's interest to fill his block as fast as possible, because being the first to solve his block is a race against time, and the sooner he has a filled block, the sooner he can start to find the solution, and the better chance he has of being the first. Because of this, miners quickly fill their blocks with transactions with zero fees instead of waiting for transactions with high fees. Transactions with zero fees that are left waiting to be included in the blockchain can be expected to be left waiting for as long as a few days. But eventually, the longer they are left waiting, the higher up in the list of waiting transactions they will find themselves in, and the sooner they will be included in a block. Your Bitcoin wallet can be considered like a piggy bank that contains coins in various denominations that are put into it by many different people. You use the coins in your piggy bank to make a transaction. The more low denominated coins you use for a payment, the more work you give miners, and the higher transaction fees are needed to ensure rapid insertion to blocks. The fewer but higher denomination coins you use to make your payment, the less work is needed by miners, and lower transaction fees can be selected. In the worst case of using many low denomination coins for payments with zero transaction fees, then requested transactions can wait as long as 10 days before they are put into a block that is confirmed. Many Bitcoin wallets offer a choice of several transaction fees with several expected confirmation times. A fee marked high corresponds to an expected confirmation time of less than 30 minutes. A fee marked normal to less than an hour, economy to less than 5 hours, and a fee marked low can be expected to have a confirmation time of up to 8 hours.